So, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to the AMA here with Caesar's Calls and Myro the Good Boy on Solana. So, this is a project, again, I have a little bit of a closer relationship with this one as I did jump in and pick up a bag after we first hosted for them for a space. So I do want to just disclose that for anybody listening, because I was so impressed with the way that the community was kind of coming together and the focus they had on helping people understand the chain that they were on. So I'll lead with that. But the narrative here with Myro, the good boy, is it's the founder of Solana, Raj Gokul's dog. So again, we've seen these pet type narratives really take off in the past. And with the volume that was kind of coming onto Solana with Bonk, it did make sense for a narrative like this to run. So again, great market identification from the team that put this one together in terms of what they were building. And as we've seen through this past weekend, the movement behind Myro is real. They did outtrend Bitcoin, SEI, any other DeFi or crypto project on CoinMarketCap this weekend, which, you know, I haven't seen that since 2021, 2022, when I first came into the space with a meme coin really dominating, you know, one of the top search websites like that. So again, great job to you guys. And we've seen names coming out of the woodworks, putting together YouTube videos for you guys. I saw one yesterday by Tyler Hill. Rico Crypto dropped one the other day. I know Jake's been supporting you guys early on. There's just been everybody. Hennick was on the space. You guys are just pulling together big names. People are popping up spaces at 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday night just to talk about Myro. So again, from a community perspective, you guys have done a great job. There's a big week ahead. You know, some listings are coming. You know, if you guys check out the Twitter, you can see the BitTrue listing that just got announced today, which is exciting stuff. There's some utility that these guys have also built out to underline the, you know, the community and the meme aspect of this project, which is really cool. We'll break into a little more of that throughout the AMA. But again, the focus here really for me is on the community. And these guys have done a tremendous job in the early stages, onboarding people, and their holder count, their market cap has just been growing steadily. And, you know, they had a pretty big dip happen yesterday and it just got destroyed, right? So the eyes are on this project. People are watching Myro. It's kind of everywhere. And, you know, again, really honored to have you, Doc, take the time out of your day, because I know you guys have had a super busy schedule within all the spaces lately to take the time here just to break down a little bit more for our community at Caesars and our YouTube community for anybody who listens back afterwards to what you're building, and really for people to understand, you know, definitely that this is a token, but you guys are trying to make this into really what I said earlier, a movement. So with that, I will throw you the mic. Make sure you guys kind of have the website open or paying attention throughout the AMA. And then if you haven't yet, jump into the community to do some more research after, because that's really where you're going to understand what Myro is the community. So Doc, happy to have you here. You're always a pleasure to host, and I'll throw you the mic for your introduction.
Thank you so much, Maurice. Glad to be here. Thank you for having us again. I think I've seen you probably 4 times in the last week, so it's always a pleasure. I've known you for years. So my name's Dr. DeFi. I've been in this space in DeFi specifically for a little bit over 3 years now, through the last bull run and through this most recent bear cycle. And I've had my hand in doing community management and advising and various other things in terms of marketing for a number of projects that have been successful in the space, several that have gone over 100 million. Now Myro's obviously on that list as well. So I have a lot of experience in the space here, and you know, I was brought on to the team early on in the project to act as a speaker and a community manager, and to help out with the Twitter. So they approached me for my skill set, and so I was hired onto the team. The rest of the team, there's about 5 or 6 core people. All of them are remaining anonymous for, you know, decentralization reasons and various other reasons, which isn't an issue, but they are a very experienced team, as I hope you guys can see. They did come from the ETH chain, but they have a lot of experience and connections in the space, and all of that is kind of coming to fruition on a weekly basis here at Myro, because they drop stuff like hotcakes. So that's a little bit about me and what my role is in Myro.
Well, again, thank you so much, Doc, for that introduction. And Really, again, love what you've been doing within this community here at Myro. But overall, I just like you in the space. You know, even when you used to come out to our AMAs back in the day, always asked tremendous questions, really understood, you know, the ins and outs of what a project, you know, should and shouldn't do. So again, with that, I will pass you back the mic if you wanted to introduce from your side a little bit more on the origins of Myro the Good Boy.
Yes, so Myro is a very good boy. As Maurice mentioned previously, Myro is the dog of the co-founder of Solana, Raj Gokul. So the Myro token was inspired and created to pay homage to this wonderful good boy pup. And the vision for Myro really kind of started with an identification of a gap that existed on Solana of really kind of high quality blue chip status dog themed meme coins. I know that's a mouthful, but I practiced it, so hopefully it came out right. So we kind of identified that there was just a little bit of a gap, and you know, we had this information about Myro being Raj's dog, and then we saw, you know, the meteoric rise of Bonk and how much attention that was bringing to the Solana blockchain. So we quickly decided that this was kind of the ideal opportune time to launch the token and push Myro out to kind of capture some of that attention and to compound the effects of Bonk bringing in tons of people from outside of the Solana ecosystem and onboarding them into the chain. And so Myro was actually really kind of created to obviously be a fun meme coin and to onboard people into the Solana ecosystem. Like, we really wanted to help, you know, provide value to the actual chain and the ecosystem instead of just, you know, creating some kind of meme coin that was a pump and dump or whatever. You know, we've seen a lot of these on Solana recently since the hype has kind of come over. So I believe we reached, let's see, look at the chart here. Early on, we had a lot of success. We quickly reached like a $30 million market cap in about 2 weeks or something like that. And we saw a bunch of derivatives and stuff launching and a lot of attention being given to Solana in general. We had, in the beginning, hundreds of people coming in asking, hey, how do I bridge? How do I buy this? I don't know what I'm doing, but I want to get in. It was like panic buying instead of panic selling, which was very interesting. So the vision was to create a blue chip dog themed meme coin on Solana that provides actual value to not only the people who are invested and a part of the community, but also to the Solana ecosystem as a whole.
I think that's like one of the things I mentioned when I was going through my part is why this project, you know, I've heard 1,000+ projects, you know, I've heard, oh, this is like the you know, this is this narrative, this is this person's pet. And like, realistically, that's great, but the hype of that will die eventually. But what I loved and what I said earlier is you guys were actively helping people, and it was very unique for a project that's, you know, considered more of a meme coin to be helping with like chain understanding and bridging and really trying to be that face for new people coming to Solana. And I think that really helps. And I mean, it would make sense that Raj would want to engage with a community like this because you're doing good for the project and the chain, the baby, right, that he built up. So, I mean, you guys, I said it on the space yesterday, I said it in the past, and I said it earlier today. That is one of the two things that really stood out to me about Myro. And I got to credit you because I know you're somebody who really understands the importance of education and understanding something before you just go ahead and jump in. So I do think that you guys have done a great job, and it doesn't go unnoticed to people who see a lot of projects in the space. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think there's kind of just like you have a special connection to your dog or to your pet, right? There's also a kind of a special connection that we have to our first project on a chain or our first meme coin ever. For a lot of people, there's been people that have been coming in recently into the chat and saying, hey, I've never bought meme coins before, but I'm buying this one. So it's interesting to hear that, you know, like there's some distinction. And I think the distinction for Myro amongst other meme coins is the professionalism of the team and the consistency. People aren't used to this kind of consistency. And so when they see the team showing up every day, they see me hosting spaces on a daily basis, they see the team posting tweets every hour or two, there's always activity on the main Twitter. They're dropping announcements all the time with partnerships and new listings. And, so it's just, people are just kind of blown away. And to me, it's like, this is how a project should be run, right? It's just, we're so used to seeing teams that maybe sell too early and then they kind of throw the towel in. They don't want to put in too much effort because there's not much benefit for them after that. Or people that aren't actually trying to build like necessarily a blue chip $1 billion project. Like they're in it for the money, and it's very evident in their actions. So you can tell, the inverse applies here, right? You can tell by the team's actions and the community's actions that we're not here for 150 mil. Like we're here to take over. We're here to set the standard for what a meme coin should be like and how a team should act and how a community should be. And, we've been kind of curating our community in that way and being like, hey, let's not take this same contrarian response that all these other projects always take, this PvP attitude, like, oh, we're going to flip these guys or screw these guys or whatever, right? Like, that's not what it's about. In my personal belief in crypto is like a rising tide raises all ships, right? So if we can all win, that's great. But at the end of the day, we know that liquidity gets spread, and obviously we don't want to be shilling other projects and stuff of that nature. But to give effort to trying to bring down other projects or really take that kind of PvP contrarian response only takes away from the positive work that you could do within our own project, right? So we recapture and reallocate that kind of attention and energy, and we continue to compound those efforts into building something special in Myro, and we just stay laser focused. We show up every day, we do the work, brick by brick.
I think that's the way it has to be, and I think that's kind of one of the reasons why the community and the movement has formed the way it has, because Solana has definitely flipped a number of these other layer 2s and these different EVM chains out there, and have kind of taken over on the dominating side from a meme perspective. ETH's still out there, obviously, but Sol is kind of the meme spot right now. And you guys have done a great job with the community sustaining 2 months, because most projects don't even crack 500K, right? Like maybe even 250 most days. So the other thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to what you guys have created is somewhat of a meta and, a little bit of now like the copycat side of things, right? Because Myro popped really hard the last week, and then we saw Myra come up, which is like the unannounced Myro's girlfriend. So like, I mean, if we're talking about strictly meme coins or what this space is, like, yeah, that narrative makes sense, but it's not attached to this project. It's essentially just trying to take from the narrative that you guys are building. And then we saw, I think it was like Aurum yesterday, like the Myro killer. It's like, well, no, I mean, great work for you guys by trying to take advantage of another team's good work, another community's good work, but like, no. So like, how do you guys as a community just keep setting yourself as that leader and just ignore those ones trying to like essentially engagement farm your community and your hard work to be like, we're earlier, because to me, early doesn't matter, but to so many people in this space, it does.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. This isn't domain dependent. Like, you go out and look at the real world, somebody comes out with a product, then somebody goes and makes it and sells it on Amazon for 50 cents or $1 cheaper. And it's a knockoff, right? So it's basically, it's not domain dependent. It's been happening in business since the beginning of time. It's a confirmation to Myro that what we have built is something special and of value, to the point where people are like, we can basically copy pasta. I won't name any names, but there's definitely some copy pasta projects out there, and we can make a quick buck on it because of how well and established and how great of a project this parent project is that we're copying, right? And you know what? that's the space. That's the space that we're in. You know, we could sit here and be upset about it. I know Caesar and I and some other people in the space have always kind of expressed our disdain for that kind of PvP behavior. But the reality is, this is DeFi. People are welcome to do whatever they want with their own money. And all we can do is focus on the things that we want to build. And, you know, that's really the bottom line. So
that's a great answer. And honestly, for me, as somebody who understands business, somebody like, you know, you can take that old adage, like essentially, what is it? Copying is the, you know, most sincere form of flattery. Like, isn't that what they say? Because they want to be like you, right? So in my opinion, yeah, it can be a negative if the project's trying to take from the Myro name don't have great endings. Like, that side of the equation almost can affect it from a perception standpoint, which sucks. But you guys also have the benefit of, if these projects do a good job, they're pushing your narrative and your meta with you forward, right? And it's kind of the concept of the many versus the few. If you guys can succeed together, there is enough in this space to go around. So I you know, I love your answer, Doc, and there is some positives, kind of silver linings that can also be had through these meta runs that happen.
It's all good in the hood, baby.
Yes, sir.
We are laser focused. We got the blinders on right now. We don't care about anything.
Let's talk about the week ahead, right? Because you guys do have a lot of stuff cooking. You know, I just saw the BitTrue announcement go up earlier, which is awesome. That you know, that's just another exchange that's going to be added into the, you know, the repertoire there that you guys have. So what else do you guys have cooking for us this week? And like, what is the process for marketing alongside some of these exchange listings to really maximize the reach?
Okay, so number one, I can't tell you what we have cooking this week. We've had conversations about this. We've made a few mistakes along the way in terms of not keeping our cards close enough to our chest and creating unnecessary hype and buy the rumor, sell the news events and stuff like that. That's just not really how we want to operate. So since we made those mistakes, we've pivoted and made the adjustment, and we're not really announcing anything or trying to blow smoke up people's asses or hype people up for no reason. We're just going to deliver. We're going to drop it and be like, boom, here it is. Just like with the BitTrue listing. That being said, we do have all kinds of stuff we're working on, and we're excited about it. And they'll come to fruition as they do, and you will see them as they come out. But I can tell you what the shift of the focus has been in marketing. You know, we took a really strong organic approach out the gate. We were doing spaces every day. We were rating like crazy. We got the gold check mark very early on to increase exposure and become a verified organization. And then we pushed really hard into kind of the influencer and KOL side of things. We had probably virtually every person that you can get on crypto Twitter. If you've been paying attention, we've had the Pepe dev, we've had the Floki dev, we've had a bunch of other people outside from established projects, Shib whales, that have been showing support and are excited for Myro, and are saying, hey, this thing's probably going to $1 billion. That's their words, not mine. Obviously, I share that sentiment as well, and that's my personal opinion. But the shift lately, you know, we've kind of started to realize that we've nailed Telegram and Twitter, like almost to the max. And so we're starting to branch out to TikTok. We currently have a TikTok competition that is live on our main page. If you go to the pinned tweet, if you're a TikTok person, highly recommend jumping into that. So we've been, I think our account on TikTok's up to about 5,000 or 8,000 followers, something like that, in the first 2 days or something. So we're starting to hit it on TikTok. We do have an Instagram page that we're slowly rolling out, and we've been hitting YouTube very, very hard. Like Maurice has been saying, virtually the majority of those big YouTuber guys that post about, you know, the next 100x meme coin or whatever, the majority of those guys are making videos and talking about Myro. You know, Ben Armstrong's been in our spaces. He's in our Twitter DM group. He's been a supporter of Myro. So we've kind of had support from like everywhere, which is pretty incredible to see. And now we're starting to focus on the mass marketing. a little bit bigger outside of just crypto, right? And I'm inclined to believe that you will see some of that this week or next week. We'll see. But we're excited, man. I mean, we're just hitting that kind of next phase where you have to really start thinking a little bit outside the box. You know, in the past, we've done some donations to some dog shelters early on in the project. There's various little things like that we're looking to do good, and you know, obviously it's good PR as well. But we're looking to do some good in the world, and yeah. So we got all kinds of stuff that we're working on. I'm trying to tiptoe the boundaries here, so I don't get in trouble, while still trying to give you guys at least a little something in terms of like what the shift is in marketing.
No, and I 100% can understand that, man. I hate when people try and load up because a team's transparent and actually, like, you know, will tell them, hey guys, we got this coming up this month, and then people try and like front load their bags, which is, you know, it sucks for projects when they're doing good work. So I 100% understand the mentality there, but I do love, you know, some crumbs, right? Some breadcrumbs that you're sprinkling for us along the way. We just got to follow the trail and stay active within the community. And that's what is, I think, made, you know, Myro super, you know, it's to the point where, and I was actually, funny enough, talking to my girlfriend about Myro yesterday, because she's big on TikTok. Like, she loves TikTok. I'm always like, I'm the old guy, you know, I'm on Instagram and stuff. And it's like the old TikToks, right? You know, it's like the cool stuff on TikTok a month ago is then on Instagram. So I'm like, hey babe, look at this video. And she's like, I saw that last month. Like, you're so behind on the times, like, get with it. But you guys are at the point where your social presence is so large on, like you said, Twitter, and in 2 months you've hit 40K, and in just a week you've put on over 10K followers on Twitter, which is really, really impressive. It's almost matching like the growth of your holder count, which is crazy. TikTok, if you guys can hit it there, that could be like your viral catalyst. Like, and again, you know, not financial advice, everybody check out but like, it's an opportunity that I don't know if I've been able to say it more than like 2 or 3 times to projects in an AMA, that you're at that boundary, that border where if you get 1 or 2 catalysts at this stage, like, you could legitimately go viral and you could be that SHIB or that Doge. And it's exciting. Like, it actually is pretty cool. So what are some of the plans that you guys have for the TikTok contest? You're already, I think, 250 people following the account, which is great in a short time, when I checked it out yesterday. But yeah, what's upcoming for the TikTok contest? Do you guys have any plans to kind of bridge like content creation into your TikTok as well? Like, maybe through rewards, through some of the staking events that you guys have coming up. Again, we'll go to transition to some of the liquidity and staking in the next 10 minutes or so. But I do want to talk about ways that you guys are going to generate content and grow your TikTok, because again, that viral moment with where your cap and community strength is right now could seriously push you over the hump.
Yeah, absolutely. So the dev just posted in the main chat a message, an hour ago, that said YouTube and TikTok phase 2 is going to begin. I want as much people on board as possible, as early as possible, before the inevitable, was his words. And then he said, by the end of the day, I should have everyone down, roll out 24 to 48 hours. So effect should show over the course of this week. So from that, that's actually a brand new message. I hadn't even seen that yet. He hadn't given me an update on the new YouTube, TikTok stuff. So it looks like they're locking in some more people on both platforms to produce some content for us. Our community has been crowdsourcing content since the very beginning, and we've made that very abundantly clear in the spaces. Like, hey, like, if we want to win, like Elon says, he who controls the memes controls the universe, right? And so, like, when we saw Pepe come out and all the memes that came out for Pepe, obviously Pepe was already like just a world class, like, world renowned meme that everybody was using for decades. in different gaming cultures and all that kind of stuff, right? So, but the same concept applies for something like Myro. Like if the memes, are really good, if the GIFs and the short form video and all that kind of stuff, like the more that we can crowdsource creativity from our community, the better, right? So I tell people in every space, like, don't discount the value of your unique contribution. If you can make basic memes, make basic memes. If you're good at making GIFs, make GIFs. If you're good at making short form content, do that. If you're good at writing threads on Twitter, do that. If you're good at speaking on spaces, do that, right? Whatever your contribution is to the community, this is a concentric effort to kind of get everybody rowing in the same direction at the same time to make some big waves. And so the majority of the content that you're seeing, not necessarily like the memes from the main account, but the majority of the content that you're seeing on X outside of that is community created, which is amazing. So it's really easy to then take that stuff, to your point, Maurice. It's very easy to then take that stuff and then repurpose it for TikTok, repurpose it for Instagram Reels, for Facebook Reels. There's a lot of different avenues that we can take short form video content with. So for those of you who are listening to this AMA now, or the recording, if you are really good at making short form content, short form video content, I should say, that is what we're looking for the most right now, because it's very easy to distribute that across multiple platforms and really perform well across algorithms when it comes to social media hacking. So that's kind of like a quick little update on like where we're going with the with the YouTube and TikTok campaign. And I know there's some other fun stuff coming, but I'm not allowed to talk about that.
Appreciate the breadcrumbs, my man. And again, definitely get active. Like if you're a content creator, like you're always looking for like mutual benefits, right? Well, if you're good at what you do and you're passionate about what you do, well, look at the engagement and the presence that Myro has. Like you could, as a good content creator, benefit as well from getting out there and putting together something really cool for them that takes off, right? And then they could get some mass exposure from that. So like it's all about, in my opinion, that mutual benefit. So I love what you guys are doing, and like I said, it's a unique situation because how you're positioned, that there's more incentive for larger creators or people who are more experienced to get out there and use their network to help you or to try and get some exposure in that situation. So kind of like what you said with the Pepe thing, like, yeah, similar setup in the sense of community strength and engagement for those creators. So, really, really good position to be in for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And we like to give some credit to people who create as well. So like I said, if you're a great short form video content creator, whether that's like little funny videos or GIFs or YouTube or whatever, just shoot a direct message to the official Twitter account. You in contact with the team.
And I know when we first started talking about Myro, one of the comments when it started to really pump from people and especially some larger investors was that the liquidity on the project was a little bit lower versus where the market cap was going. And I love that the team was already mindful of that and that you guys had been kind of making some plans behind the scenes for some upcoming liquidity ads and some reward events that will benefit individuals for essentially contributing to helping to strengthen your LP. So I don't know if this would be a good time. I was hoping we could transition just into some of the staking things that you guys have upcoming and some of the liquidity provision events that may be coming up in the future as well, which will allow community members to participate and earn some cool rewards.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to transition a little bit more to the technical side of things. This is where I live. So the liquidity, I think what a lot of people, they kind of miss the forest for the trees on this is they're just looking at maybe Bird Eye or Dex Tools or whatever, and they're just seeing the one liquidity pool, which is obviously the largest one, which is the Radium USDC pool. But what they're not seeing is they're not seeing the other 18 to 20 liquidity pools that are set up across various exchanges, albeit they are smaller, but we're talking about KuCoin, we're talking about Huobi, we're talking about a lot of centralized exchange liquidity pools as well. Like, these aren't small liquidity pools, and they also scale with the price. So it's important to keep in mind that the total liquidity is actually much higher than what people think. And the arbitrage that occurs between those pools will keep the price relatively balanced, even if somebody was to come and sell a big bag on, let's say, Jupiter or something like that, and it hurts the chart on the chart that people are watching. Well, those other exchanges are picking that up and then selling it over on their exchange through the market making system and arbitrage and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's part of it is just kind of people don't really understand where to look for that. But there is a little bit of a lower ratio to liquidity than we would ideally love to have at this stage. So the team's been working on getting a Goose FX staking pool set up, which is going to be a liquidity-based staking pool. If you guys remember, Bonk, they created a liquidity staking pool on Goose FX, and that was pretty much right prior to their kind of meteoric rise. And a lot of that, could, and I'm not saying it is, but it could be attributed to the reduction in selling pressure by giving people an opportunity to put their tokens somewhere, earn some form of rewards, bootstrap some liquidity from the community. So there's a benefit for both sides, right? So that's something that we wanted to make sure was very clear, that if we were going to come out with some form of staking, we didn't want it to be like a standard kind of SaaS setup, a single asset staking setup where it just adds additional selling pressure to the project itself. While it is a benefit for holders, it's actually over the course of a long term, probably not, because they will make more on the price going up than they will on the staking rewards anyways. So we have to really take this intuitive approach and understand, the trade-offs for making a decision when it comes to buying pressure versus selling pressure, and how that equation has changed, because the net difference of that equation is what results in where the floor of the project is going, right? So if we can reduce selling pressure and increase liquidity, we increase stability, we build in some anti-fragility into the price, and we can raise the floor over time by reducing the selling pressure if the buying pressure remains constant. And it's proven to be rising. I mean, I think we had an all-time high in trading volume a few days ago at around 75, 78 million, which is pretty impressive today. Even if this is our lowest day in the last week, and we're still at around 33 million in trading volume. So we have been producing a lot on numbers, and the natural trading going through the liquidity over time will also strengthen it via the liquidity fees and all that kind of stuff. So that staking pool, we are currently at 6 of 7 nodes or price tracking things on the Python network. So you need 7 out of 7 price tracking connections to get that staking pool set up. We're currently at 6 of 7. We're working on connecting that last point and getting that staking pool out as soon as possible. We don't really like to give rigid timelines, so I'll give you a rough one. We've been saying, 1 to 2 weeks is the goal. As we know in blockchain, things sometimes take longer, and things happen on their end, things happen on our end, whatever it is. So we're not going to give any kind of set date or time or anything like that. But we're very excited to bring that out, just to give people an opportunity to make some returns and to help the project without actually having to sell their Myro tokens. Because there's a lot of people who have conviction, and maybe those people want to provide liquidity and earn on fees and earn on rewards without actually having to sell their tokens. And so we wanted to definitely provide some kind of opportunity for that. And we saw the value in using Goose FX after we saw how much success Bonk had.
Agree, and I think it's again, smart identification of the partners and who you guys are trying to work with, and based on their past track records for the chain that you guys are on. So no, I think it's smart, and again, from a liquidity standpoint, as you guys strengthen that pool, it will make it more attractive, and obviously larger buyers, whales, and even some exchanges may look to pick up supply. It's obviously a lot easier when you have like a 2, 3, 4% LP ratio versus, like, I think the problem that happened with Pepe is as it kept rising, at one point I remember checking, it was like under 1%. And I was like, ooh, that's rough at that high of a cap. So again, love the early identification of this, because this is something that we talked about back in early December in our spaces. And, as it's moved forward a month, you guys are still online with that goal. And I'm excited to see what that will do for the project once it goes live, and what the participation rates look like there, because, that's the one thing about the community here at Myro, super active, and, no reason why it wouldn't translate over to a new initiative going live.
Yeah. And, I'm a big fan of education and kind of teaching people like how to look at things objectively. And, if we want to work together on building something that's special in the space, if we could get even 10% of the supply into that staking pool, that would be incredible. The goal for me is honestly like 15 to 20% or more, which is a lot, but I like to set my goals high. But I think there's a lot of people in Myro who really understand like that the project has the potential just in and of itself to do some really incredible numbers. And then you weigh, these catalysts that are looming, these white swan events in the market, right? We just had the ETFs approved. There's going to be a lot of institutional liquidity that's coming in over time. It didn't happen right away like everybody thought, because they're obviously OTCing deals and doing stuff that they've been doing in traditional finance forever. But I think that that paired with, we have the Jupiter airdrop coming into the Solana ecosystem at the end of January here. We've got MarginFi and Tensor that are doing Solana airdrops as well. And Solana is kind of just in and of itself positioned the blockchain to be a prime candidate for a large portion of the market share of normies that's going to come in during this, the super cycle, as people are calling it, this next bull run. We have the halving event coming in May. Which is generally what signifies the beginning of the bull run. So there's just a lot of upside, and the people that have been here since the beginning have a very strong sense of conviction. And I don't see a world where they don't want to, stake their tokens and provide liquidity to the project, if able, and lock this in for like the next 6 months and see where this thing really goes. Like, people aren't giving up. A lot of people are looking at the price right now and being like, okay, it's at 130 mil. Like, is this thing, is it done? But the reality is, like, we're just getting started. People say it all the time, like, oh, we're early, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is, all of us in crypto are early, given what's coming at a macro level. I'm very long on crypto, so my macro beliefs are a little bit different, and my timelines are a little bit different than most people's. But I think everybody could benefit a little bit from zooming out and being like, hey, understand where this can actually go. Like, we talk about $1 billion, but the reality is, in a bull run, like, $1 billion ain't that hard. We're talking and aiming for multiple billions. So obviously we don't like to really kind of give out targets and all that kind of stuff too much, because like, we don't want to overhype people, but like, we understand the position that we're in and what the potential is here, and we're not going to do anything to what's the word I'm looking for? Jeopardize that.
No, and again, the Myro, I guess, name, brand, movement, it's pretty powerful. I know some people were really loving what you had mentioned earlier. I got a couple comments sent to me from Buck from our community about the charity aspect, and obviously, if you're able to get that side of the movement, or that side of the community engagement high, they were curious how you plan to like fund it, and also what the plan is to try and use that positive kind of humanitarian effort to engage with the actual blockchain, the founders, Raj, Tolly, and get some real backing to try and make Myro almost like the sponsor for Sol in and of a way. Obviously not maybe endorsed, but if you guys are doing a lot of good and it's based off of his dog, the likelihood of him endorsing you are just high, right?
Yeah, I mean, getting some support from like the Solana Foundation and the founders and stuff like that is a huge value add and a looming catalyst as well. But it is not something that we built the project to be dependent on, which is kind of a little bit different than a lot of other projects. They're like, they do something and they're always rating the founder or whoever to try to get any kind of like or comment or whatever. And then like it's a big pump and then a big dump after that, and it's gone. So it's those kind of approaches are a little bit fragile. And so we're not really reliant on that, but we have had some direct interaction from Raj already. We've also had some indirect, maybe attention. We posted a few pictures of Myro early on in our launch. And he hadn't posted a picture of Myro in maybe like a year, and he posted 2 within a 2-week period or something like that. So we're pretty confident that he knows what's going on and that they're watching very closely. We have to understand that for founders, there is some risk when it comes to interacting or especially with endorsing or giving any kind of endorsement to projects that aren't, that they've spoken with and are 100% verified as safe and all that kind of stuff. So there's a certain amount of risk for them. But like you said, as this thing gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're doing good in the world, and the community is something to be spoken about, it becomes very hard for anybody to ignore us, especially the real life owner of Myro, which is Raj, who's the co-founder. So as far as like humanitarian effort stuff, it's not something that's like on our immediate priority list. We are still in this phase, and I talk about this on some of the other AMAs and spaces and whatnot. We're still in the foundational phase, which is kind of weird to hear for some people because we're at 130 mil. But the reality is, like, we're spending the first 2 to 3 months of this project building out the foundation for the token, for the community. Those are the 2 important things, right? So every day we're showing up, we're building the community. Every day we're showing up, we're building things and securing partnerships and listings and extra liquidity and some, like the staking, all that kind of stuff, right? All of that is our foundational pieces, pillars of the token itself, right? And as those things as those items get checked off the list, you start to move more towards building the brand and building like the ecosystem around Myro, some of the utilities that we're building. The focus will start to shift a little bit towards that once the token is really kind of squared away. And we've done a great job so far, but we're not done. By any means, we're not done. So we would like to do some more humanitarian stuff. As far as how that's going to be funded, it could come from some of the revenue that's generated from the BuyBot advertisements and the Soul Trending channel that we have. We do have a free BuyBot that we pushed out very early on that has a Soul Trending channel attached to it and has a place where you can purchase advertisements at the bottom, like a lot of these other Telegram bots. And those funds are going to go to a treasury fund, which is named the Treat Jar. So kind of a fun on-brand name for the treasury fund. And those funds will be transparent. You'll be able to see when funds go in and when they go out, and we'll be able to use those for a number of different things, including project development, marketing, buyback of the token, humanitarian efforts like we spoke about. So that's one place that can be funded from. I can tell you that this team doesn't care about money. Rich Dev, yay! Okay, so these guys, they've been in the space for a long time. They're very experienced. They have a very large war chest, and I think you guys are probably going to find out, some how big it is at some point. Maybe you'll get an inkling of it this week or next week. But it is a 0-0 tax token, so it is a good question to ask. Like, where are some of these funds coming from? In the past, we've done some allocation of supply for various things, for some exchanges, for some influencers in the past. The majority of everything that we have left in terms of supply is pretty much all reserved for exchanges at this point. We're targeting some of the biggest ones out there, and I know the team's been in discussion with a lot of them.
over the course of the last 2 to 3 weeks, notably even the last week here as we eclipsed that all-time high of 75 mil in trading volume. That definitely raised some eyebrows around the space. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some big hitters come, whenever they decide to. Again, the exchange listing game is a game of diligence. It takes time, takes multiple weeks to vet stuff and kind of square everything away. And then the timelines are always on their part when they want to announce, and that's just stuff that is out of our control. So we just focus on the things that we can control. But yeah, like you saw BitTrue today, which is great. Obviously, it's not like a top 5 tier 1 exchange or anything like that. But any additional liquidity pools and exchanges that want to list us, by all means, if you're listening to this, if you want to list, go for it. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, I think they got over 4 million registered users, so that's a nice extra pool, right? To have. Yeah. Looking at your project, which is always good. And then going back to the whole like Raj and endorsement, I do agree. It's kind of that the legality standpoint, it's tough. But as Elon said, back in the day, like he who controls the memes controls the universe, right? So we see these other layer 2 founders and whatnot really trying to engage and push and pull volume into their blockchains via memes. So Sol's been lucky that you guys, again, on that chain, I agree with what you said earlier, from a normie perspective, as the bull happens, it has a dynamic, if the team is good, for projects to really run. Because again, not having max wallets and stuff maybe is a little bit scary to normies coming in. But again, if the team is good, if the narrative is there, it's proven that it's, a more user-friendly chain for most. So yeah, again, I think you hit on a couple really important and really solid points there. And just adding any additional user base into the potential to buy Myro is good. So, no, I'm excited. Now, what else did we want to talk about? Oh, yeah, you transitioned. You gave me a perfect segue into talking about the buy bot, right? Which you guys have released. And as you mentioned, it's free to use. So a very competitive landscape out there right now. But again, you guys have the community engagement right now. So what's the initiative to get the buy bot out there in different communities, get the name trending around the space so that you guys can start to build up that revenue, build up that treat jar through the advertising side?
Yeah, so obviously, a lot of people in the space, we're not investing in one thing and then one thing only. So people are in a lot of other Telegrams. I'm in a bazillion of them. And so anytime I see a new Sol project launching, I'm always encouraging it. I always tell our community members to encourage it, even if you use it in conjunction with another one, just kind of like if you're on ETH, like how people use Safeguarded by Tech, right? Because they both have trending channels and it's just more exposure in general. So it's actually a value add. And as Myro starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger, like the appeal to using the Myro buy bot, I think will really start to take over. I think we're already in, I want to say over 600 Telegram groups. So it's being used quite a lot, even though it's not being talked about, really frequently by the team or any of that. So we're seeing a lot of exposure and a lot of usage of the bot, which is great. We created the bot when there wasn't really one out, and there was a few other ones that came out alongside of us. And, obviously the market's just going to choose whichever one they want to use. But like I said, as we get bigger and bigger and bigger, I think the appeal to using the Myro one will become stronger as well. And the advertisements at the bottom are actually not live yet. I think they were supposed to go live this week. And the Sol trending channel, when we launched it, was actually completely free. So we wanted to provide, in the beginning, an opportunity for projects to use the bot and get some extra exposure through the trending channel that way. I believe there is going to be an option to pay for some slots on the Sol trending as well as the advertisements. So that opens up a second revenue stream from the same utility. And so they're not, outside of like the community kind of pushing it, there's not really any huge initiative to really drive it into a bunch of groups. Like we're just going to kind of let that adoption happen naturally and through our community. And that's kind of how we've been approaching the project. Like we don't try to force things, we don't try to force news just to make a pump. We don't try to do any of that kind of stuff. We just build and deliver, rinse and repeat. So
I agree. Now, like I said, I said in my kind of precursor, your community strength is really good. And as we know, word of mouth is still to this day one of the most effective forms of marketing, because people often via word of mouth have a better conviction and better understanding on what they're talking about. And yeah, you guys have a very, very loud, very strong community. And also a lot of people, of influence are watching Myro. So there's a lot of different avenues that you guys could go without having to necessarily push too hard or exhaust any funds to get, proper exposure and some usage traction built within that avenue. So cool. Now the soul trending, that's really interesting.
Let me give you something real quick, Maurice, on that note. I'm going to give you some of the main account analytics here, because I know you're a numbers guy. In the last 7 days, we've had over 3 million impressions. We've got a 10.5% engagement rate. We've had over 20,000 profile visits. We've had 6,700 new followers. We've had 104,000 likes, 64,000 reposts, 50,000 replies, and 154,000 media views just in the last 7 days. So we got a loud community.
Yeah, that's massive. The 10.5% engagement rate is what I really like. I'm always focused on that. I know not everybody can have their notifications on or can follow all the posts, but I always kind of aim, even on liquidity, like 10% is kind of like my sweet spot for a lot of different things in the crypto space when it comes to LP ratios, engagement ratios, and stuff like that. It shows that, on bigger announcements, you guys will probably hit up to 20-25% on some of those larger ones, right, with traction. And then it balances out on some of the more frequently posted stuff. So, really, really strong numbers there. I like that. I did want to go a little bit into the soul trending side of things, because very unique. I did mention the competitiveness of the buy bot landscape, that ecosystem side of things, but trending tools not as competitive. And with the movement towards soul, like, you guys could definitely generate some revenue, but 2, cross community engagement, which is where I wanted to kind of spin this conversation with the soul trending. So, like, how does the process work to get trending? Is it volume based? Is it like a paid for service? Like, walk us through how the split's gonna kind of work with it.
Hold on, drop my phone. Yeah, so that's a good question. There's been a little bit of work being done. So the buy bot's been down a little bit here and there. We're kind of working on some of the intricacies of the bot. So I'm not going to speak on the details of that piece yet, because I don't have them in front of me. And you know me, I don't really like to speak on things that I'm not 100% confident or knowledgeable on at the time. So once that comes out and everything's functional, all of the details regarding how that works, what are the qualifications, all of that stuff will become apparent at that time. I would have to speak to the dev right now and ask him. So, and he's somewhere doing something that I can't tell you.
All right. Well, again, like I said, it's all about the breadcrumbs, man. I feel like I'll even go another way. I feel like Hansel and Gretel right now, just following the clues back to the house in the forest. I'm really excited for what the future holds for Myro. And yeah, no, just branding wise, I mean, the logo, mascot, super clean.
Yeah, I mean, if I could step in here and kind of just
too. I was just gonna say, I wanted to comment on the color scheme, because I'm weird. I'm a marketing guy by nature, and I'm kind of my side degree was like psychology, so I'm all about like pattern recognition and stuff. And you guys have perfectly aligned the colors of Solana into the Myro name, the Myro mascot's logo. So I honestly think like it's aligned very well with the chain. And yeah, just again, a bit of a weird comment by me, but it's
No, it's
Nerd a
not at
little bit
all.
of, yeah,
I
I
mean,
loved it.
you and I
picked
are the
up on
same. When I first was shilled this project at 300K, I opened it up. The first thing I took a look at was the logo, and I was like, oh, this is great. I already want in. Like, this is great branding. It's Solana colors. It's very attractive. It's a cute dog. I mean, what more could you want, right? And then I went and saw that the narrative was the co-founder's dog. I was like, oh, this is a no-brainer. Like this was probably one of the easiest investments I made on Solana ever. You know, it's just like there wasn't a founder's dog at the time, and this just seemed like it was a great narrative, great branding. The community was already forming well, and the team was, you know, from what I had heard at the time, you know, the team was an experienced ETH team, and they've taken projects very high before, and so I was like, all right, yeah, let's do it, you know, and I bridged some ETH over to Solana and went through the painful process of learning something new. And it turned out to be very much so worth it. So, you know, there's probably lots of other chains that are going to start to pop off too. And it's important to kind of note that, like, you can always find good opportunities early if you're not being lazy or, you know, taking advantage of that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, for me, like the fundamentals for a project, I like to call them, are branding, narrative, community, team, and marketing. There's 5 of them. And if you have all 5 of those, and in my opinion, Myro like double checks all of those boxes, which is why I'm so bullish on it. And I'm happy to show up on a daily basis and host spaces. But if you have the fundamentals, really what it comes down to at the end of the day is when things are not in a state of pumpage and euphoria, and, you know, you're in a dip or a consolidation and a period of adversity for the community, does the community blow itself up, right? So the message, the A message that I've sent in the spaces is, hey guys, listen, we're gonna have retracements, we're gonna have consolidations, they're gonna be 40 to 60%. It happens in every big meme project. If you go and look at the pattern recognition, like Maurice was talking about, literally every one of them has it. Okay. And our chart is actually probably one of the best meme coin charts in all of crypto right now. It's very impressive. It's very textbook retracements and consolidations. It's very healthy. And so I just told people, like, hey, there's going to be these times when there's FUD and retracements and all that. The key is that we just don't blow ourselves up. This will go where it's supposed to go over time if we just don't blow ourselves up along the way. And that's really hard for DeFi people to understand because the space moves so fast a lot of the time. And it just, like, we've been alive for 2 months. I feel like I've been doing this for a year because I've been on spaces every day. You know, we're talking about it all the time. So time seems to fly by very fast, but it actually doesn't. So it's just important to remember that. And this goes for any community that you guys are a part of who are listening. Really, like, if you want to really build something special in the meme coin space, it's all about having some leadership in the community. And every one of you has the potential to be a leader. You just have to step up and you know, just give it a try. There just has to be some leadership in the community and someone to rally the troops and remind people, like, hey, nothing's wrong. Like, all the fundamentals are the same. Some people are selling, some people are buying. That's the nature of the markets. That's it. And if you're having trouble with red days, like today is a little bit of a red day in the past couple of days since we hit that all-time high of 180 mil. If you have trouble with that, focus on making memes. Focus on writing threads. Focus, you know, go touch grass, do a workout. Stop staring at the chart. You know, close the chart and go outside and come back in a couple of days. Because, like, we have such a strong foundation and such a strong community that, like you said in the beginning, Maurice, like that picture of Homer Simpson laying in the bed saying, like, comfy toasty Cinnabon or whatever. Like, it's a really comfy hold. You can sleep on it. You don't really have to worry about some nefarious things happening. And at the end of the day, like, it's just for us, for me, in my personal opinion, and the teams, it's not a matter of if this gets to $1 billion. It's only a matter of when at this point. For us, and you guys are welcome to have your own opinions, and obviously you do your own research, and, you know, all the disclaimer bullshit, blah blah blah. But that's just, you know, we've been through multiple cycles. We've seen how these projects evolve, and, you know, the timelines for them and how things work, and the timing that we have, being on the precipice of this, you know, massive bull run that everybody's been talking about. Most of these other projects didn't have that kind of catalyst. Some of them were born in the bear. You know, like Pepe hit $1 billion in the bear. So I always just try to remind people at these points in times, like super healthy retracements. When in doubt, zoom out and understand the bigger picture of like what's really being built here. It's not just a meme coin. It's a brand. We want it to be a household, like, recognizable brand, and that is why the branding was on par with the Solana color scheme, and why we took so much time making this V2 website and the images and the logo and all of that kind of stuff. It's very, every piece of it was very specifically catered to. So
I think you guys have a high likelihood to go viral. And again, with some of those catalysts you're working on, some of these new social media, avenues that are coming into play. I think especially TikTok could be really, really cool. We saw it blow up, other projects in the past. Again, just from a meme perspective, but you guys already have a community behind you. So I think, the depth of what you could get from pushing onto that platform is much, much stronger. So yeah, no, really, really excited for what the future has lined up for Myro. And again, there are some more events, some more announcements that will be dropped this week. So obviously, if you guys aren't already following the Myro Twitter handle, I would recommend getting on the Twitter, following their account, because they post a ton of useful information, tips, tools. They showcase some of the different individuals who are shouting them out, and a lot of it is just organic through word of mouth, through people seeing what the movement's all about and wanting to jump on board. And then obviously for more day-to-day engagement, guys, we've posted the Telegram as well a couple of times on the post. Jump in there and stay active. But just super impressed. Like, the brand, the narrative, and how the community has come together. The fact that, this weekend, the week that the ETF got approved, you guys outtrended Bitcoin on CoinMarketCap. That's just incredible. So, these projects, these types of events don't occur every day. We did just come off of a pretty tough 2022, 2023. We saw some great movement towards the end of last year. And I think, this is a great sign, a very positive thing for the space in, 2024. So obviously myself, outside of having a bag in Myro, just for the space, the movement, these types of events are great catalysts for DeFi. And yeah, during a week where Bitcoin ETF got approved, you guys outtrend them on the weekend is just incredible. So, I have a lot of love for the Myro community and what you guys have built up over there. And yeah, Doc, again, yourself as an individual, I have a lot of respect for you. I've always spoken highly of you, and just seeing you every day out there in the space, pushing this narrative, but not, like you said, pushing it, just letting people know what you're building in a friendly, approachable manner where you're actually trying to help is what brought me into the Myro family. And I know is what really connected with a lot of other individuals. So as you said, do your research, not financial advice, obviously, but just overwhelmingly impressed with what you guys have built in the first 2 months and the amount of traction that has come behind, this Myro movement. So, he has been a very good boy so far, and we are excited to see, what the future has in store for Myro. So with that being said, I want to be respectful of your time. I know you mentioned you have a few other things coming on today. Hopefully you can get them, ironed out. If you could pop into 5 minutes tonight on meme culture. I know A1's really excited to get you back for an update, especially with everything that he's kicking himself. He's like, bro, I always miss these big ones you bring on that go like crazy. He's like, I wasn't set up on Sol yet. He's like, but don't worry, Myro made me get a Sol wallet. So like, you guys are literally not only pushing new people in the blockchain, you're creating FOMO for, Sol as a whole. So man, I'm excited. If you can pop in tonight, obviously that would be great. If not, I'll try and pop into a few of those community spaces you do for Myro every night when I see them live. And, just excited to be a part of the community here at Myro. And thank you for taking your time to come over to Caesars and just introduce and break down, give a little bit more depth, peel back some layers to what's cooking over there, man. Just super impressed. And
yeah, I greatly appreciate the opportunity to come and hang out. It's all a great time bouncing back and forth with you, Maurice, and the Caesars community. I want to give a shout out to anybody who's watching on YouTube or the recording here. I've been a part of Caesars community for some time, and it's one of the best communities out there. And so if you're new or you're a little bit lost in this space, maybe you're losing a lot of money, I highly recommend joining the Caesar community and trying to get into the private group that they do through the YouTube live streams. And now there's also a paid group because the quality of individuals and holders and the quality of Maurice here and Caesar himself is great. So it's only fair that we're all here together because there's a bunch of good people in the space. There's a lot of bad people in the space, and you can get in a lot of trouble listening to the wrong people. So I do appreciate you guys giving us a platform. I did have a great time, and hopefully I was able to effectively lay some breadcrumbs without making anybody on the team upset. I've done that a couple times, so I'm kind of tiptoeing the line here because I do like to give people some kind of inkling of what's coming without obviously, upsetting the core team. So thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
You did a tremendous job. And again, big shout out to the team as well behind Myro. Love the community. You guys are absolutely phenomenal. Can't wait to see the type of content that gets dropped on the TikTok. My girlfriend's going to be pretty pissed off at me. I'm not going to lie, Doc. If the reason I get a TikTok account after she's been bugging me for 6 months is so I can follow a crypto project, but I might have to just bite the bullet and deal with that headache as it comes up.
You better.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll see you hopefully tonight. Again, if you can't make it, no worries. I'll give a quick update on Myro, but like I said, it will probably run from like 5 to 8 your time, 8 to 11. I'm assuming there's 8 people on the panel. There's from A1, he told me there's a bunch of projects that are going to be there. I think we're going to have 5 or 6 different chains represented tonight for meme coins. So yeah,
if you want to get me in at the very beginning, because
you could jump in right.
My girlfriend will kill me if I'm not done by 5:30.
We need you alive to be running those community spaces, my man.
Yeah.
So if you want to jump in, I'll tell A1 to maybe just get you in during the keynote introductions at the beginning, and then you can introduce yourself because, again, in my opinion, you are a keynote in the space as a big community speaker, not just a project lead, but you do some great work just for your own little community that you run there, as well as for other projects that you've advised with in the past. So. We'll get you in as a keynote. So I'll count you in before 8:30. We'll get you live. You can get out, enjoy your night with the girl because you need a night off after all the work you've been putting in, man. Don't get yourself in the doghouse. I woke up in there this morning because I ended up staying up till like 5:30 in the morning doing work. So I have to make dinner tonight or something before the space.
Attaboy. Happy wife, happy life.
Exactly. I'll catch you tonight, Doc.